the training, the repetition is what breaks us out of the just sort of the initial program, the base program of what that response is. And there's a lot of inertia to that. There's a lot lined up behind it, pushing in the direction of that expectation and that experience and those behavior patterns. But I have to believe that the human mind, the human intention, is stronger than these old echoes, because they're not here and now. And my power is in the now, not in the past, not in the future. And if that is true, and I deeply believe it is, then whatever past history I got, whether it's, I've been through something really, really horrible, and I remember it very easily, and it's easy for me to bring that past into the now when things look a little bit like that. Whether it's, the loud noise and then you jump or whatever. This is, it's a program. But that I think that Eckhart Tolle had it right when he wrote that book. The power of now. It's all in this present moment, and the force of will happens in the now. And certainly there's an inertia from past intentions in that now moment. You send it off. All right, I'm going to be calmer and cooler next time. I'm going to be breathing better on final approach next time. I'm going to be focused on this and this and this. And I believe that can help to sort of send it forward, a note passed forward up the line to saying, in the future, in my next now moment, when I'm here, I'm going to be more here, and I'm going to have this with me. I'm going to have these set of ideas, these practice physical behaviors, and we can change our fate. Change from what we thought was sort of a solid thing, a certainty, to, well, yeah, what if it could get better? That's where the light of change shows up. When you actually believe that maybe, even if maybe is a beginning, maybe I can fly differently, maybe I can act differently, respond differently. Yeah, we're dealing with something that's really difficult. I mean, jumping out of airplanes is such a great test bed for so many things in life that determine what our life experience is going to be. The ability to soothe ourselves and calm down and stay focused and believe in ourselves in the absence of evidence. When the situation is currently headed towards death, every time you jump out of the plane, you're dead until you do something. And I understand that's less the case now that we have AADs, but it's still basically, the physics, right? This is a terminal illness, gravity. But to send off that intention that I will be more awake in this next moment. I will be calmer. I will be more aware of my surroundings. I intend it. That's human consciousness evolution right there. That we're able to push forward an intention of expanded awareness of our experience, expanded awareness of our choices. I think that's what, when I find myself scared, it's when I see limited choices and I don't like the choices that are in front of me. So if I can, sort of in every moment have that zoom out, the word that I've been writing a lot about lately, I'm doing a lot of writing, working on a new book, is perspective. Our perspective tends to shrink back into this kind of base assumption set of what I can do based on the past, but based on what I've done before. And the expansion into the now moment of like, no, it's the past has nothing to do with this. If I'm going to do it right, I'm going to choose to focus my attention and change and do something in this lively moment. It's where all my power is. And that's kind of a big deal for a human to realize, that in this moment is everything we need. The self-soothing, it comes from your desire to breathe better. It comes from your desire to feel better. And the actions that I take in the moment can change not only how I feel, but the thoughts that I have access to, the memory engrams of, the past stuff, that the wisdom that I've gleaned from all that stuff. And at the same time, it's also enlivening the creative centers in the mind, right? When I really wake up into a now moment where I breathe myself into this sharp awareness, like, a laser, perfect awareness of what is. What's my ground speed? Where am I going? And from that acceptance comes the freedom, to choose something different, to have that lively awareness in the present moment. The ego swells up to infinity, and the universe says, you try that in my environment, and there's prickly things all around that bubble, and eventually it pops and it shrinks back. And those thorns are simply your lack of planning, lack of awareness, lack of understanding, lack of breath in the moment, all that stuff. And you go, all right, how do I fix that one? How do I get rid of that thorn one by one? I get skillful so much that it's not a thorn anymore. It's not something that's going to cause me to have that shrink back of my confidence because I'm found wanting. I screw up and everybody's like, I'm that guy. It's the freeze dance. Remember that from kindergarten? You put on the music and all the little kids dance, and then they turn off the music, and the one that keeps dancing, you're up. Well, you're out. That's sport, and you just have to, forgive. That's the word. That's the word. Forgive. Forgive yourself. Forgiveness is a releasing of burden. We're trying to make this hot air balloon float up, and we keep taking on cinder blocks. The universe is going to keep handing you cinder blocks. That's what it does. The judgments of others and whatever. Here's your cinder block. And whoa. Offload the cinder block, without losing the lesson. How much more relaxed can you be? Because there's a version of you that's even more relaxed than this. That's the one that I'm sort of wanting to help you connect with. The person that has a couple hundred jumps always feels like, wow, I'm starting to get this. I'm not that terrified anymore, compared to when I had 5 or 10 jumps and I was in AFF. But the person that you're becoming, he'd be like, dude, you have no idea how calm you're going to be. You have no idea how aware and how many possibilities you're always going to see, and the freedom from that, the freedom that comes as a result of seeing multiple answers. It's not there yet for you, young one. That's what he would say. It's not there yet. Just stay the course. You just keep doing what nurtures your awareness. And that's a physiological thing. It's not just cognitive. Because you're not alone. This is because of my role in the sport. I get to hear an awful lot of similar stories like this. You're not alone at all. In some of those stories, I remember years and years and years ago, that same person thinking, oh man, I don't know if, maybe I should bail. Maybe I need to move into a different sport or whatever it is, or quit doing tandems, or, wherever they are. And years later, I look back and go, wow, that was just a transition time. That was a time where there was enough desire and hunger for more, hunger for change, hunger for evolution of my abilities, that it catalyzed an event. And it was a pivot point for me. And so if you start telling the story that way, that years later, in 2032, you'll be able to sit down at the picnic table next to somebody who's got their head in their hands. I remember how you feel. So if you can go from that place of compassion of yourself, from a different version of yourself, then you get to hear the other voice. Because right now, the only voice that seems to be echoing is the judgment, the shame. Doesn't help. Doesn't help at all. It's only the fire that's being lit under your ass to be the better skydiver that you're destined to become. Oh, believe me, the universe is going to keep handing you things to ingest And it's up to you to choose whether you believe that stuff or not. You know, the belief in punishment and shame is in all of us. It's part of our culture. And it's a load of crap. You take the bounce, you know, off the trampoline, take the bounce off of what occurred. But don't get into the judgment. You know, it's not your job. It's nobody's job to judge overall. You judge the specifics, and then you take action. You take action to improve. Yeah, judgment is the falling from grace on a level that we can't even quite perceive. It's the cancer of our society. It's not up to us to judge how other people live their lives, but it is
Right,
up
yeah.
to us to judge our own lives based on that. You just can't
Exactly.
project your trip onto theirs because they're on a total different trip, and we're all going to end up in a wooden box,
Yeah.
right?
True.
At the end. So you take your path up the mountain or down the mountain or whatever you want, right? Pez used to say it's easier rolling downhill, man. He was one of the old ranch alcoholic guys that is now dead. But yeah, it's easier rolling downhill. It's like, that's your trip. It's fine. I think the world would be a lot better if we stopped judging other people by our own rules and letting other people judge us by their rules, allowing it. And we can cure it if we decided we're not going to get into it anymore, right? I call it the shit sandwich. You know, the universe will keep handing you shit sandwiches. You just stop eating them.
Yeah.
Quit it.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's a line on final that you don't like, you know, because the turbulence turned your canopy, you got to make that choice to go back to your original intention, back to your original expectation of where this needs to go. And it can also be a judgment about you that is a global perspective that nobody has a right to superimpose on you. They're overstepping their bounds when they generalize who you are based on a specific event, even an adding up of that string of pearls of, you know, of suckage, of falling short. Everybody has, before they landed on the moon, remember what happened to Armstrong? He almost died in that flying bedstead, right? The thing, the lunar simulator.
Oh,
He
yeah.
started to flip over and he had to eject just above the ground and land. He almost got freaking killed. If he had taken that moment, you know, and generalized his piloting ability based on that specific thing, and he would have bailed. Somebody else would have landed that LEM. Right. So, you know, we're all on a journey, and that journey is going to require lots of feedback, you know, feedback from your life. You know, feedback, the symptoms of my mind state, my understanding and everything else are the evidence that I need to either continue or change. Fine, change. It's okay. But giving up isn't going to help, because then you're just left with a sport that you haven't finished. You know, you can't quit till you achieve mastery, because otherwise you don't know what it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can stop jumping. Eventually we all stop jumping because we can't put it on a rig on because we're in a box underground. But before then, you know, the process of learning how to fly is it doesn't end. Whether you're jumping or not, it's still learning about self when lit on fire, you know, that, like, that's what it is. It's like me under a dangerous circumstance. Who am I in that moment? All the forethought in the world becomes somewhat irrelevant when I'm in the hot seat, and I choose to breathe myself into the calmest I can be, which is not completely calm. You know, I'm still under canopy, still driving that car through the snow. I'm still handling myself in that argument, you know, in finding a way to just be a little bit more calm and a little bit more aware and a little bit more foresight for where this is going. It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I love your positivity.
Yeah, well, I've been around a while, and I've been through some shit. You know, I've been in and out of this physical form, and that helps. You know, for me, the whole thing is this amazing game now, and I'm tickled to be here, you know, above ground. I'm tickled to have the opportunity to remind people of the larger perspective that is still so clear in my mind. You know, how thankful we all must be. You know, not everybody is. You know, because they're withholding that feeling of perfect joy and acceptance of your life until you get what you want. You know, I got to have enough money. I got to have the hot enough, you know, significant other or whatever it is, enough friends, enough achievements. One less box to check off, but it's when we transcend the checking off of boxes as a criterion for those moments of real genuine deep thankfulness for the just existence. That's what Diane offered me. You know, I don't get tired of talking about it. I'm sort of looking for a way to make that work its way back into any conversation, any drama. It's like you getting your panties in a bunchie over that? You kidding? Did you see that bug landed on that flower and then pollinated it, and you know, having the genetic code to now allow for more flowers? Holy shit. You know, that baby was just born and took its deep breath, you know, first breath right down the street from you in the hospital just now. Yeah. And you're worried about enough money or enough, you know, stop judging these little things and you know, get back to celebrating existence. Well, we can learn from other people's low turns, you know, in the same way that we can learn from other people's near-death experiences, and you don't have to do it yourself.
Right.
You know, hopefully that most people won't have to actually, you know, die and leave their body to have this perspective. It'll, you know, somebody will tell that story and it rings a bell inside your own soul and you go, oh, you know, it's true. It's true. I need to be a lot more glad in every moment. You know, you get up in the morning and you sit on the bed and you immediately start the day with like, you lucky fucker, you're again here alive. You know, another day, another set of footsteps through an experience that is a unique opportunity, different from every other life path that's ever occurred. Wow. Right? That was easy. I feel like our real work through dealing with fear is not by doing things fearlessly that don't scare us, but maybe scare other people. And then we make that comparison, go, see how brave I am? I'm not scared when that person is. It's not about that. It's about you doing the stuff that scares you. You know, that's the work.
Right.
That's the work. Otherwise, it's just winning a junior varsity game. It's not quite so impressive.